Yo everyone, it's Neilscraft and welcome to my first guide video in League of Legends. So today we'll be talking about AD Ezreal, about the pros and cons, abilities, runes, masteries, items, and some useful tips. So let's go over his spells. His passive is called Rising Spell Force. Hitting a target with any of Ezreal's abilities increases his attack speed by 10% for 6 seconds, stacking up to 5 times. This is the reason why Ezreal doesn't need to buy any attack speed items like a static shiv or a Runions. Next is his Mystic Shot. Ezreal fires a bolt of energy that deals physical damage and applies on-hit effects. If it strikes an enemy unit, it reduces all of Ezreal's cooldowns by 1.5 seconds. This is your bread and butter skill. It scales off of both AD and AP and can apply on-hit effects such as Lifesteal or a static shiv proc. Not only that, but it can also lower the cooldown on all of your abilities. Take note that this ability could not crit. Next is Essence Flood. Ezreal fires a fluctuating wave of energy at a target area. Any enemy champions it passes through take magic damage, while any allied champions, including Ezreal, it travels through have their attack speed increased for 5 seconds. This skill is your main skill if you're AP Ezreal, but not so much as AD Ezreal. Use it as much as you can while you're pushing towers with your allies. Next up is Arcane Shift. Ezreal teleports to a nearby location and fires a homing arrow at the nearest enemy unit, dealing magic damage. This ability is extremely useful because it's like a second flash that can hurt people. It's a great ability overall. Lastly is his ultimate, True Shot Barrage. Ezreal channels for 1 second to fire a powerful barrage of energy missiles, which deal magic damage to each enemy unit it passes through. However, it deals 10% less damage for each additional unit it hits. Ultimate is great for executing enemies from afar, stealing Dragon or Baron, or in teamfighting in general. Since the cooldown is pretty low, you can use it often. Remember that Mystic Shot can be used to lower the cooldown of your ult. Now let's talk about his pros and cons. He has a safe laning phase with his Q and his E because he'll be able to poke from a safe distance and be able to escape easily. He has a lot of build paths since he's skilled with both AP and AD. He doesn't need to build attack speed because of his passive, and lastly, his damage output is very high if you manage to land all of your skill shots. As for the cons, all of his abilities are skill shots. Well, yeah, so landing your abilities may be difficult for beginners. He is squishy like many other marksmen. It's hard for him to catch up when he's behind, and he's vulnerable if his E is on cooldown. Next up is the Summoner spells that I would recommend taking. Flash is a great spell for almost all champions, so you should take it 100% of the time. Next is Heal because the movement speed buff and the heal is really good on marksmen in general. Other summoner spells you could take are Barrier and Ignite Barrier if the enemy team has Ignite or some burst damage, and Ignite if you want to have more kill pressure. As for the items, Ezreal has a ton of items to choose from, so let's get started. If you want to do more damage in the late game, you should first rush the Tear of the Goddess for the mana mune. After that, you would want to get a Sheen for a good power spike. Now the next choice depends on you. You could go for a Trinity Force for more damage, or the Iceborne Gauntlet for durability and kiting. By the time you finish either of the two items, finish off the mana mune and get either of these two boots. The next item you should take is the Essence Reaver because it's just good overall. It synchronizes well with Ezreal's kit. Now that your core is finished, you can choose the Bloodthirster with the Ruin King, Infinity Edge, or the last two Whisper items. As for the defensive options, you can go for Guardian's Angel, Banshee's Veil, Mercurial Scimitar. Oh, and don't forget to take your blue trinket when you're level 9, and place it everywhere on the map. As for runes, I go for flat AD marks, flat armor and heal seals, scaling MR, and flat AD quints. As for the mastery page, I go for 18, 12, 0. In the early game, try not to use your abilities other than your Q unless needed because it uses a lot of mana. Ezreal has a safe laning phase because he can last hit from afar as well as harassing enemies. He excels at poking, so when you're teamfighting, use your Q as much as you can. It has a low mana cost and cooldown, so don't be afraid to use it all the time. Use your E for either escaping or repositioning. Use your W on your allies when you're pushing towers, and remember, you're an ADC. You should attack the closest target while staying safe. Thanks so much for watching and have fun.